Welcome everyone to the 2021 Ecumenical Advocacy Days, where together we are gathering to imagine God's earth and God's people restored. My name is Reverend Michael Neuroth. I work for the United Church of Christ and our Washington, D.C. office as the policy advocate for international issues. I'm also part of the leadership team for Ecumenical Advocacy Days, which as this year pulled together this virtual conference in this new time and space. We together this year have been without a conference coordinator. And so you will see throughout this event that it has taken a team effort of planning, of preparation to once again gather the faithful for this Ecumenical Advocacy Days. This orientation As some of you know who have attended in person, normally would take place at the hotel where Advocacy Days is typically hosted, which is the Doubletree Hotel in Arlington, Virginia. Here we are in this new time and space in this virtual platform called Attendify. And so this is the first time we've done something like this. It is quite new, and we have with us today our partners at Perisphere Media to walk us through that portion of what the next couple of days will bring. But I wanted to start this orientation also with a bit of background about what Ecumenical Advocacy Days is. EAD, for many years, was its predecessor body was Interfaith Impact. And it is one of the largest lobby days that the faith community organizes here on Capitol Hill. Our goal through worship, theological reflection, and workshops is to strengthen the Christian voice and to mobilize for advocacy on a wide variety of US domestic and international policy issues. EAD in its current configuration began in 2003. After Interfaith Impact was organized for many years and stopped, there was a couple years gap. And some of the advocates from the Middle East Working Group gathered together and said, we really valued that time of coming together in DC to learn from one another and to raise our voice on Capitol Hill. And over that year and the next couple years, issues were added to that list. It began again with Middle East issues, and then Africa and Latin America. And over time, we've added to that list in the form of tracks, various issue foci, such as environmental justice and economic justice and domestic issues and global peace and security. And so you will see woven into the workshop offerings this year, a focus in those various areas where some of the coalitions that operate, that organize here in Washington have pulled together workshops to touch on those many different issues. EAD has, throughout the years, touched on a whole variety of different topics, from food justice to the economy, to immigration, to peace and security, to issues impacting women and children around the world. You can, on our website, look back at some of our past gatherings to gather information and hear, even on our YouTube channel, some of their past keynote speakers who we've been blessed to have had speak at EAD in the past. As you'll see over the next couple of days, we really have tried to put together a program that walks us through the educating ourselves on issues of climate justice, as well as to ground that theologically in our shared Christian tradition, and really to begin to learn how to best articulate that our voice on Capitol Hill around these issues. So tonight we will be starting with our keynote. We've included a couple social aspects each evening. Tonight, that is a art gallery walk. Tomorrow night, it's documentaries. And then the following night, it's a poetry evening. So that is this evening. Starting tomorrow, we will be gathering together as denominations. We have 3 workshop opportunities, 3 workshop slots with a variety, with over 30 workshops that are hosted throughout the next couple of days. And then on Monday and Tuesday are mostly workshops and a couple plenaries. We have a powerful panel plenary with US and global partners, which I encourage you to check out. And then starting on Tuesday afternoon, you'll begin to learn more about the ask that we're bringing to Capitol Hill this year, focused on climate justice. And Wednesday morning, we'll have a send-off for our lobby day. And as part of that, you will also be hearing more about how those lobby day meetings are being organized, as well as an opportunity to break out into state meetings to plan those visits themselves. So hopefully some of you have also viewed the Sunday morning worship that took place this morning at 10 a.m. as well as and rebroadcast at 1 p.m. for those on the West Coast with our keynote preacher, the Most Reverend Bishop Curry from the Episcopal Church USA. I know that in my home congregation, we used those materials in that service, and people really enjoyed that. So that is our starting point, where we start from today. We're so blessed and glad that you've gathered, and that together over the next few days we will worship, we will learn, and we will take our voice to Capitol Hill to create a more just and peaceful world together. Let me next turn it over to our colleagues at Perisphere, who are going to help us learn more about this virtual platform that we are using and see how we connect to that content and to each other over the next few days.
Thank you so much, Mike. My name is Matt Smith. I'm the owner of Perisphere Media, and we have been supporting EAD since 2012. And usually, if you've attended in person, you see us in the back of the room running things in terms of the PowerPoints and the music and all those things, and the social media and the website. And this year, as Mike noted, we're sort of taking on a bit of a different role in terms of bringing the virtual conference to light here. So I'm joined on this meeting and throughout the weekend by Mark Delmonico from Perisphere, who goes back to 2007 with his work for EAD and predecessors, and then Diana Leroy-Schmidt from our team as well. And the three of us, this might be the only time you sort of see us throughout the weekend, but you will be, we'll be sort of there in the background for the rest of the weekend, running the pieces, answering questions. And wanted to get started by just sort of talking about the Attendify platform. And we're going to just sort of show a brief video, and then I'll sort of this sort of more generally about Attendify, and then I'll sort of talk specifically about our setup a little bit. So just show this brief video.
As soon as you join your event from the virtual experience link, you'll be prompted to the Town Hall main event page, where you can access everything you need. You can edit your profile, check recent notifications under the bell icon, which will notify you of important updates from the event organizer, as well as comments or likes on posts you've received. You can also check your private messages and start a new one. The general activity stream allows you to post, like, and comment, exchanging thoughts and ideas with other users. The community list, also accessible from the left sidebar, allows you to network and even start private messages. Right under the welcome message from the event organizer, you will see the live session preview window. You can click through to navigate different sessions, or even click to session view. Please keep in mind that the schedule times in the virtual experience are automatically adjusted to your computer settings. We also recommend setting up reminders through the mobile app to remind you of any sessions that interest you. Once you're inside a session, make yourself comfortable by adjusting the screen size according to your needs. Also inside your session, you can participate in session chats, see who else is watching, and vote on a poll. You can also scroll down to get more information about your session. Once your current session is over, you will need to click through on the schedule to get to the next session. Some sessions may be using Zoom, in which case you can join through the Attendify experience, or you can open in the Zoom app. If you try with the first option and you run into trouble, you can always try opening through the Zoom app, or simply leave the session and try rejoining. You can also leave your session to explore other features available in your event experience. We also recommend downloading the mobile app, as it includes some more great features and it'll allow you to stay tuned to your event when you're away from your computer. Enjoy your event.
So a couple notes here, and before I sort of show the EAD setup, is that we will sort of have the Q&A time at the end to definitely ask any questions. Yeah, so just sort of take us through the EAD setup here a little bit. So this will look pretty familiar to, I know many of you been in the Attendify platform already and created your profile. This is sort of the desktop version. We'll sort of also walk through the mobile version, but first, I think the best experience is really sort of in the desktop version, but the mobile app will sort of is valuable as well. So sort of seeing the pieces that were just sort of talked about in that video, the town hall, which is the sort of landing page, and you sort of see the activity and the community, the menu on the left, the activity stream, which is kind of the social wall for the event, and then the community is sort of everyone with the profiles there. So, we'll sort of talk individually about all of the pieces that have sort of their own schedules for you to access the video events through, which are schedule, workshop, schedule, denominational gatherings, and sponsor drop-ins. But other items in the sort of the menu are the speakers area. You see the speakers for our event. Lobby day, where all the lobby day materials, the asks are added, a link to the ask video. The sponsors, everybody sort of who brings EAD, makes it possible. The offerings, which talks about the sort of the two international offerings we have. Daily devotions, which is a sort of a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday prayer, self-guided prayer piece. But so first and foremost, the main schedule is viewed by schedule on the left, or it sort of shrinks down to just be the clock icon, and you can sort of see all the events that we have for today. And then when you're in an individual event, you'll sort of see the countdown for this evening is 2 hours and 15 minutes to the opening celebration. And we will go over in the sort of a little bit later the specifics of actually sort of joining a video within an event. So here, just sort of talking about the schedule. So the main schedule has all of the plenaries, the Catholic Mass, the state breakout, sort of all the sort of the core key events. And as we sort of developed the platform and the content was coming together for the event, we realized that particularly with workshops, we had so many workshops that they really needed their own schedule, so that you could enter, that each item, has to sort of support that video. So each item here is sort of its own Zoom webinar, or your Zoom meeting, so that there's a workshop schedule for the 2 days for matching to the 3 sessions on each of the 2 days. One note about the workshops is that the tracks that you'll be familiar from past years are sort of all the same, and you can sort of if you click on those little, I'll do that again. If you click on the little color bars there, it's a little trick. You can sort of see the tracks. Another way you can filter by the tracks up here. So I'm going to filter by Middle East, and you'll see all of the Middle East tracks. So those are the, just that there are so many workshops that they really needed their own schedule, because you're going to be entering each workshop sort of individually through its own session. And these are all Zoom meetings, but unlike many Zoom meetings that you may be familiar with, there's no need to register. These are all, there'll be a button to join and you'll be able to access. So there's no email that you'll get no passcode, nothing like that. It's just we're using sort of Zoom, to sort of power this here, but it's not. And it would be sort of very familiar, but it's not the sort of usual registration and access process of Zoom. You'll go in directly through these individual sessions. Denominational gatherings is similar. Those are all tomorrow, April 19th, from at 1 o'clock. So you'll sort of see in the list here, there's a few denominational gatherings. And then finally, sponsor drop-ins. Again, sort of informal, these are sort of informal Zoom meetings. And these were the sessions that just happened. And then there'll be another session again at lunchtime on Monday. Finally, in the support tab, which is at the bottom, just down here at the bottom of the menu, we've ostensibly put all of the information that's going to be in this orientation in tabs. So I'm sort of speaking about the Attendify pieces. We'll sort of be talking about Zoom. We've got a section on support inquiries here. This is sort of going through this for the weekend or for the the next 3 days. You'll see we've already been answering questions in the main activity stream. That you'll sort of see on the town hall. In each session, there's also what's called a session chat, and some folks have been asking questions in there, so we've been answering them there as well. And we'll get into this a little bit more in a moment, but within this sort of the video, the webinars themselves, the Q&A will be the Q&A function in Zoom will be the main sort of means of asking questions, and then also the chat is going to be open for most sort of major events. Just for sort of conversation and fellowship amongst yourselves. You'll sort of see our names as in the community, and if we can sort of ask questions sort of generally in Attendify, or you can reach out to us as you need. But a couple other sort of final notes on Attendify. You maybe heard it mentioned briefly at the beginning of in that little video, was that this question has definitely come up a lot, is in terms of the time zone. The time zone in this desktop platform, which might primarily be using, it adjusts your time to the time zone that you're in. So for example, if you're on the West Coast, it would show as 1:30 for this orientation. So that's just sort of automatically set. And the other sort of main question that's come up a lot is like, will sessions be recorded? And yes, they will. So we're going to record everything so that you can access them later on. That I know that's particularly the case for workshops when there's multiple interesting workshops scheduled at the same time. So I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Diana to sort of talk through the Zoom piece of this, like the Zoom half of the event.
Sure thing. So the nice part here is the fact that with Attendify, you do not actually need to have a Zoom account, and you don't need to have Zoom loaded on your device. If you do, that's just bonus and makes it easier to have a fallback if there's an issue, but it is not required. So if anyone feels hesitant about making a Zoom account, you don't need to. The other thing is the fact that to be able to attend any kind of and activate Zoom, all you have to do is go to that session and start that session from within Attendify, and you're going to load it, and you'll see there before the session is going to start, you'll see before on like the last screen that there's a countdown timer, and as you get closer to that, a few seconds before it becomes available, it'll actually give you a little button to join now, or it'll actually give you the ability that it just automatically starts. So if you want to queue something up, go get your coffee and come back, you don't have to worry about missing anything. It will automatically start. So that's one wonderful part of this whole configuration. The next thing also is the Zoom controls. So within each meeting, whether you're on your desktop, you can hover over that video, the Zoom meeting, and you'll get the options for the chat, the Q&A, if there's breakout rooms. You can also mute the actual session if you need to make things quiet for a moment at your home, and you can expand it to take over your whole screen. On an actual mobile or tablet device, you'll be tapping on the screen, And within the Attendify app, you can actually detach the video. What that does is it allows you to actually pull up the video, it'll detach it and like stick it to the bottom of your device screen, but allow you to see the rest of the app and all those different sessions. So if you wanted to browse around or take a look at something else in the system, you don't have to lose your place within the actual session video. The other thing is to be able to ask questions, as Matt was just talking about, is to really keep everything into the Q&A as much as possible, because that's where we'll be monitoring and doing our best job to answer everybody's questions as quickly as possible. Along with that also gives everybody else a chance to see that. But the chat area, should you want to use it, is really for any kind of discussion between yourselves, but try to keep everything into the Q&A so we can keep it all moderated. State breakout sessions, those in particular, so this is actually, Mark has up on the screen at the moment, the Q&A, and you can see that there, and some of you have already been using it in this orientation, so that's great. It's basically, you just type in your question and then it'll be answered. The state breakout sessions, those for the have actual breakout rooms. And what that means is you'll actually join that session and the moderator for that will have set up a series of rooms. And when you go in, you'll be able to tap on a little icon that has a bunch of little blocks for the breakouts, and you'll see a list of different rooms that you can join. So, and those, you can go in, you can actually move between rooms until the end. And if there's any questions in there, you can use the chat in there to ask those questions. The other question, item that came up during, actually was great in Attendify's video, which is, should you have any problems with connections? It certainly happens. All of us don't always have the best internet connections. Things get weird or wonky for some reason. The best recommendations are to keep your devices charged or plugged in. Try to keep, if you're having issues where things are getting a little choppy, make sure there's not a ton of apps open in the background, or if you've got something else on your computer, like, you know, say Dropbox for some reason is uploading a bunch of things, that's a good thing. Make sure you're close to your Wi-Fi router. That's another one. If you have particularly a larger home for some reason, I would know somebody who, like, their office is on the 3rd floor of their home, but their router is actually on the bottom floor, and it does not make for a good connection. So try to get as close as possible. The other thing too is, you know, when all else fails, if you can't get it to work, sometimes, you know, quit everything out, come back in, and sometimes it's just a matter of, it was just a bad connection at the moment. So that is the basics of working within the Zoom. And I hand it back to Mark now.
Thanks, Diana. Doing one too many things here, but we're getting there. I'm going to share my screen here momentarily to show actually my cell phone. We're going to look at the experience of the Attendify app. As Matt went through and as Diana went through all the details of accessing Zoom in the app and also the various parts of the app, if you are not at your desktop or a laptop and you want to use your phone or your tablet, the way you do that is go to the Google or iTunes App Store and download Attendify, search for Attendify, as I've done here. You'll see install if you haven't installed it already. If not, you'll see open. And you can also find it on your home screen as well. But when you open it for the first time, you're going to see asking you, which event are you attending? And to find Ecumenical Advocacy Days, you just want to go to the search and start typing in Ecumenical Advocacy Days, and lo and behold, there it is. And you don't need to buy tickets if you've already registered. You just want to click join, and what it will do is we'll ask you to log in. And to log in, you want to use the email address that you registered for EAD with. In this case, I'm going to use my email address here. I'm going to put in my password, and it will go from that initial screen to the app screen, which is what you see here. And all of the information that you see in the desktop/laptop view is here too, just that it's more compact. You have to click on the 3-line icon in the upper left to see the sidebar menu. You'll of course see notifications through the bell icon here as we send them out during the event. You will be able to go to any of the items that Matt was going through the other day, or through the few minutes ago, I mean, to check things out. And you can work through all of these places as as efficiently as you can in the screen that you have. And you can, of course, do it in portrait or in landscape, depending on your tablet and how it's set up. So that's all here, and the information in the app is pretty much exactly what you'll find in the desktop experience. There are one option I know that doesn't exist in the desktop is the ability to bookmark workshop sessions. You can do that here by simply clicking on the bookmark tab next to it, and you can even get a reminder for when you want to when that workshop is, or that plenary, depending on which schedule you are bookmarking. So that is about it for the app itself. Certainly, if there are questions, do reach out to us as the weekend goes along here. But we're glad to be a part of this. And at this point, I'm going to hand it back to everybody in response to questions that may have come in during the presentations.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. This is Matt again. Yeah, we've been answering questions here in the Q&A, but definitely if you've got more questions, please put them in there. We are also the session will be recorded and shared throughout and sort of available throughout the rest of the event, so you can go back and watch the session. Mike, one question that came up was about screenshotting. Whether the presenters would be okay with, you taking screenshots of materials and other pieces from the panel. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think all of our materials certainly are able to be screenshot. All of our speakers have, obviously given their permission to use their image, as well as the musicians. The music for the worship service, the videos that we are playing before and after the sessions, those artists have all given us permission. We've actually paid to license that music for this event, as well as it's important to mention that all the materials are going to be made available after the conference itself. We haven't yet quite determined for how long they will all be made available, but I think at least for a couple months, they will be still up here on the app. Those include any of the recorded sessions. Obviously, all of our plenaries will be recorded. Our worship materials are already recorded and are actually up on the website for download or streaming, as well as most of our workshops, unless there's any speakers for whom the material is too sensitive to record and keep on file. We're asking our workshop leaders to record those sessions, and those will also be made available in the Attendify platform for streaming later. Certainly that's something that this platform offers that we couldn't do in person, which is allowing you to attend more than one workshop at the same time. So you can view those workshops later. But to answer the long answer to your question is, yes, feel free to screenshot any of the materials, the lobby day materials, etc. A lot of those materials will also be posted in the Attendify app as well under the lobby day tab. So you know that as well.
Thanks, Mike. One other question that's come up was about having to sort of enter through the same Attendify link every time, so that's definitely, there's a custom link for our event in Attendify. So I'll sort of briefly share my screen and just show that link again. So this is our link, so this is for getting into the desktop platform. That's the link you're going to want to bookmark for the rest of the weekend in terms of going there and then logging back in. Just looking at some other questions here. Not too much here. Yeah, Mark's just put that link into the chat so that everybody has that there. Keep coming in with more questions. And these could be questions about EAD generally as well. Yeah, Mark just shared that link again so that people have it, but it's just there in the support area if you need to grab it during the event as well. It's also, if you go to the advocacydays.org website, there's a sort of a big block for accessing the virtual event right on the homepage. And that takes you to that. The first button takes you to that link. The second button takes you to the mobile link, for downloading the mobile, and then the third button is to instructions. So that's right there on the advocacydays.org homepage. Keep the questions coming.
Matt, as people are thinking of questions, I'll just add, I think it's part of what we're so excited about this year is really that this platform allows people to attend EAD, maybe for whom traveling to DC wasn't possible in the past. And so, as the leadership team, which is made up of representatives from the 30+ sponsoring organizations that helps plan EAD. So please do visit the sponsorship tab at some point over the next couple of days to take a look at all the different sponsors that help bring this together. As we were considering how to really try and organize an event that would really reflect the energy and the all the things that gets woven into this conference. We we're so excited that this platform offers an opportunity to gather in a way that we couldn't have envisioned 2 years ago before COVID. And certainly we all grieve the loss that we've undergone over this past year. Many of us personally, our communities, et cetera, but in this moment, and certainly the loss of not being able to gather in one large hotel conference room, worshiping together certainly is something that we are grieve. And yet we also feel grateful that we have this technology that does allow us to knit together our spirits, our hopes, and our commitment to justice. And so certainly that's what we are gathering together for over these next few days. So, but there's always going to be both blessings and limitations to this technology. And this is our first time offering something like this. So it'll be a learning experience in many ways.
One question that came up was just around terminology around when we say breakout sessions, if we mean workshops. What do we mean by that, Mike? I think that's...
So there are workshops are workshops and breakout sessions are breakout sessions. But yet we can certainly, end up messing up those technology. We have 2 days of workshops planned. So Monday and Tuesday, each day you'll have 3 times at which different workshops are being organized. So those are the workshops. We also have, during the state organizing plenary, we will also be offering breakout rooms from that plenary, where you'll be able to meet and talk with folks from your own state to plan your lobby day meeting. So those are not formal workshops, those are more breakout rooms. So that's the difference, is the workshops, it'll be more traditionally like what you would have experienced at EAD, which is, a conference room with an MC and 2 panelists, 2 speakers. It'll be a Zoom meeting is what those workshops will be. but the lobby day, we will have an opportunity to break out from that into those specific rooms. Now, the experience is somewhat similar. These are all Zoom meetings that you'll be in together, but that's how we're drawing the distinction.
I had a question come up about workshop, like the blocks for workshops. So I'm going to briefly show those times. So on the sort of the main schedule, you'll see the workshop on Monday the 19th. You'll see the workshops block 1 is from 11 to 12. Workshops block 2 is from 2:30 to 3:30. And then workshops block 3 is from 7 to 8. And the sort of the second and final day for workshops is at the same set of times at 11 a.m., 2:30, and 7 o'clock. Again, all Eastern Daylight Time. Because of as I was sort of speaking earlier, because of the volume of workshops and the need that each one is its own video event, we needed to create our own sort of the schedule to access, a separate schedule for workshops to access each of the workshops. So that's available as the second item in the sort of minimized view. It's this little target with an arrow. And then if it's written out, it's the workshop sched. Unfortunately, there's a character limit in this platform. So it's a workshop sched. And you can sort of see that this follows the same time. So that you'll starting with the workshops at 11 o'clock, continuing through the workshops at 2:30, and the workshops sort of finally at 7 o'clock on both the 19th and the 20th. Again, I'm here on the East Coast in Baltimore, so these are all East Coast times. More questions?
And just a note on those workshops, just as background, really one of the strengths of EAD, in addition to this event culminating in one of the largest lobby days that the faith community organizes on Capitol Hill, really we hear year in, year out the strength that our workshops offer for an event like this. And that is a testament to the many different colleagues from various offices here in Washington that put those workshops together. Some of those happen through some of the organizations that advocate on different issues here in Washington, such as the Latin America Working Group or Churches for Middle East Peace. But in other cases, there are simply just different coalitions or groupings of staff that gather together to organize workshops in those issue areas. But I think as you'll hopefully see on the schedule, a wide variety of sessions, all that are looking at different topics through the lens of climate justice. Again, you'll be hearing tonight at the keynote really more about our theme and why we picked it, and the sense of urgency that we're bringing this year to climate justice and the intersectionalities that we find with that. But the workshops, we did ask them to all go through the lens of climate justice, which I think is really valuable.
A couple of questions we're sort of answering individually, people with technical problems, and a couple of people just said thanks, which is always good to hear. Certainly as we go through, and we sort of briefly talked about it, the Q&A function here will be used for all of the sort of the events for the sort of the main webinars, the main plenaries for asking questions. So definitely keep those questions coming in there. One question, Mike, that just came in, I know Becca was answering, it was just around lobby day and if it's too late to sort of join lobby day if you haven't.
Well, we only guaranteed lobby visits for those that registered ahead of time. That said, I think folks can feel free to join those state breakout sessions and see if you can join those meetings. So during the state breakout plenary, we're first going to hear kind of reviewing the ask itself, and then we're going to have a time to go into those breakout rooms with some instruction from Cassandra Carmichael on how to go about organizing those meetings. So I think feel free to join those meetings. And I think since we are organized essentially, the visits themselves are with your senators. Many of you may still be able to join those meetings. And then for the House side, we're asking people to send either action alerts. We'll be putting up a link to send electronic messages to your members of Congress, or even better, to call those offices with, and we have a script available for you to reach out to your House offices. So all that will be covered in the lobby day plenaries coming up.
Thanks, Mike. One question was about accessing recordings after an event is concluded. So you'll just go back to the same sort of event on the schedule, and they will be there. We'll may not get those up right away, but we're going to sort of do our best to make those available. I mean, I think also too, when we are going to be eventually sort of posting some things to YouTube and doing some communicating to the full EAD email list and social media and things over the course of the next few days with some, some links to some of our main events, because, we don't want to just be this a closed event where, people, we want to have all of the sort of value and events where people have registered, but also so once some of our main events are over, we'll also make them available on YouTube. But for accessing things, for example, the workshop or the worships from this morning are set. They're both in the, that we did 2 viewings, one for, East Coast and one for West Coast. It's the same worship, but those are available to watch at any time over the weekend. And I know that was a question I fielded a lot today was, I joined too late and will I be able to see worship? But that's specifically worship's already up there and you can watch it anytime. So we'll be sort of doing our best to get all the recordings up from the sort of the main events and then from the workshops themselves as able. I know definitely the workshops are scheduled up against each other sometimes. So definitely going to do our best there. I'm just, if somebody asked the same version of the record after the conference, Mike, I think the intent is we'll keep this open for a while, right? The platform, Becca, that you can still sort of log back in and certainly I know the, one question that sort of came up is it's on a bit of a different schedule, in terms of doing some weekdays, and I'm not really sure what a weekday or a weekend or anything is outside my little room here, but people can't make things for certain times. So we're going to keep the platform open for a while for people to access things. And as I was saying, we'll also be sort of posting sort of some key pieces to YouTube as we've done in past years, so you can sort of see our main events.
I see some chatting about the epic nature of organizing something like this. It has been an epic challenge. And I saw a question about the number of registrations. We do have about 1,000 people registered for this event, and about, Becca, correct me if I'm wrong, 250 or so joining the lobby, higher than that, 300-400-ish lobbying. But one of the benefits, again, is it was very much a challenge to figure out how do we create a schedule that would work for folks on both coasts. And this is unique in this year that for those of you who might in the past have traveled from California and been here in person, this time you get to join from home. But the 3-hour time difference does make it a bit challenging. But we hope that having the evening workshop session and the evening kind of social time really does accommodate for those of you on the West Coast and even the west coast of Hawaii. We've got folks coming from that far who are zooming in with us. That really allows us to do this and organize this in a different way this year. But as we said earlier too, that folks will be able to access some of this content later in a recorded way as well.
Still just more love coming in. Thanks and gratitude, which is nice after all of this planning, and you've been answering a lot of questions and helping people maybe with some technical challenges around registration or getting onto the platform. It's certainly, we understand those frustrations, but it's nice to have some happy customers after dealing with the frustrated ones. And certainly, just even in the sort of the back, we've used the Attendify app in the past. If you've been at EAD, we've used the mobile app, and it's been a nice sort of augmentation to the in-person event in terms of the schedule, in terms of the, just the map, things getting around the DoubleTree, but, it's sort of really just, some of the conversation that went on. So it was really just sort of a compliment, but this platform for the virtual event didn't exist a few months ago. When we started looking last summer, we looked high and low, and things were like, there was a lot of like, we're going to do something, like we'll let you know in a few months. So really this platform came together just a few months ago, and in terms of sort of right sizing a platform that could work for us, but also wasn't like, so from just to brass tacks, wasn't so expensive that we would have to make the conference unreachable in terms of cost. So that it definitely has its quirks, as we've learned about, and we'll continue to beg your patience on that. But it's not perfect. But I think particularly once we get over the hump of today, and particularly the accessing the videos and accessing, being able to sort of join right there in the schedule for each piece, and it's just fairly intuitive and straightforward. So I think we'll sort of get over the technical hurdles and then get on to the content of the event.
All right, well, I'm not seeing any more questions coming through. I think we might be able to end a little early if that's all right with you, Matt.
Yeah, that'd be fine. Yeah, and
hurry up, last chance, get your questions in now. But while you're doing that, I'll introduce myself. My name's Becca Choate. I'm Associate for Global Advocacy and Education with Global Ministries of the Christian Church Disciples of Christ and the United Church of Christ. I'm also on the EAD leadership team, and let me just say that this couldn't have been pulled together without everyone's participation in that. So all of our sponsoring organizations deserve, big props, big kudos. We all worked pretty hard, especially the last couple of months, to get this all pulled together. So it takes a village, and we hope that you all have a good experience moving forward. Oh, there was another question in here. Well, no, we're not finished for the day. After this, we have our opening celebration that starts at 7 p.m. Eastern tonight. That's with Reverend Mariama White Hammond as our keynoter there. So please join us later tonight. And then there's a question about participating in workshops going on at the same time on cell phones. So we're recording our workshops. So you attend the one live that you'd like to attend live, and you can come back. It'll probably take us a little bit to get the recording up, but you come back and check the next day for that session to see if it's up yet or not. But that's how you can, attend two at the same time. It's really not attending two at the same time, but it's watching the recording of it.
Yeah, one more note for tonight too, Becca. Also, there's the virtual art gallery walk at 8 o'clock, and that's in there, and you can see the art already. There's a document in there with all the art, but that'll be a virtual stroll. Unfortunately, no wine and cheese for that art opening. You got to bring that yourself, but it'll be a nice event, and that'll sort of start right after the opening celebration ends at 8.
Thanks for the reminder, Matt.
Becca, do you want to explain the organizational drop-ins during lunch? That might be something worth explaining.
Oh, sure. Yeah, our organizational drop-ins, those are our sponsors, our sponsoring organizations who aren't necessarily denominations, right? It's not the United Church of Christ or the Christian Church Disciples of Christ or the Mennonites, right? It's these organizations like Bread for the World or the Africa Faith and Justice Network. These organizations have set up separate Zoom links. You can find those. Matt showed us where you could find them in the schedule. And just a drop in to see what they're doing, see what's going on, say hi. It's a brief kind of check-in time, kind of like an exhibit hall, except it's not an exhibit hall. So we had the time earlier today. We'll have some time around lunch tomorrow, Tuesday, excuse me, and Wednesday. So definitely take a look at that, as well as checking out our full list of sponsors. You can find websites and social media accounts and contact information for all the various sponsors. And we've got quite a list, so take a look. It's truly a work of the ecumenical Christian community, and we're very glad to work ecumenically in this way for this event specifically. All right, so with that, I want to say thank you to you all for joining. Thanks to Perisphere once again. And we will see you at 7 o'clock and then at 8 o'clock. And I will also, with the art walk, you get to talk to some of the artists too. It'll be a Zoom meeting. So right now we're in a Zoom webinar, which you all don't have your video and audio showing, but the art walk, you'll have your video and audio available for you to use if you so choose to talk directly with artists and see their artwork. So we're excited to have you all joining us. And we'll see you later.
I lift my eyes up to the hills. This my morning song, where my strength comes from. I lift my eyes up to the hills. This my evening song, where my help comes from. This is the gravity of love, just as the moon follows the sun. You're all around me, you're holding everything. This is the hope of every land, just as the universe expands. Your love is reaching, you're holding everything. We lift our eyes up to the hills. When will our help come? Lord, we cry, how long? We lift our eyes up to the hills. Even as we run, hope is chasing us. This is the gravity of love, just as the moon follows the sun. You're all around me, you're holding everything. This is the hope of every land, just as the universe expands. Your love is reaching, you're holding everything. This is the gravity of love, just as the moon follows the sun. You're all around me, you're holding everything. This is the hope of every land, just as the universe expands. Your love is reaching, you're holding everything. We are gonna make it through. We are gonna make it through. Lord, we'll do what it takes to get me to you. We are gonna make it through. We are gonna make it through. We are gonna make it through. Lord, we'll do what it takes to get me to you. We not gonna make it through.